Hello YouTube, it's Teddy, aka JamesKisau, here for another Grixis Control Legacy League on the day that Lord of the Rings hits MTGO, and as you can see, I'm playing the exact same list from the first league, because I wanted to continue trying out the Nimble Obstructionist, and also from the Catacombs. They did pretty interesting stuff last league if you've checked that video out. Went 3-2, perfectly respectable. Probably what you'd expect out of Grixis Control these days. But yeah, we'll see what we can do. We'll probably run into tons of Orcish Bowmasters, unless it just has Kappa Cannoneer Syndrome, and where the story with that was that it was really difficult to find and really expensive by consequence, but I think these cards will be a little more accessible. They're selling boosters, there's draft leagues, so I'm expecting to see quite a bit of Lord of the Rings stuff, and especially Orcish Bowmasters. I've heard, I'm part of some Discords, and in paper it's already seeing a lot of play in Legacy. So yeah, we're not really respecting the new cards yet, just because it's hard to evaluate and know exactly what to do until you're really facing off against them. And this league should be a good learning experience. I will be aware of those cards, so I'm not just gonna jam Baleful Strix into black and 1 open mana, but we're gonna see how the old tech kind of stacks up and see what we need to do to adapt, see what still feels good. I would also like to try Bowmasters myself. I don't really know where they would go. Probably cut him to Turok in the meantime, and maybe, you know, some other card. But not Nimble Obstructionist, never that card. And yeah, the other card in Grixis that has been getting a lot of chatter is Flame of Anor, which is 1 red-blue, has 3 modes. You can destroy an artifact, target player draws 2 cards, or deal 5 to a creature. But if you control a wizard, you can pick 2, which is pretty insane. Kind of like an insane K command. If you draw 2 cards and destroy an artifact, that's a lot better than Raven's Crime and Shatter, Divination and Shatter for the same mana cost. It's pretty wild. That being said, we only have a couple wizards. We have my favorite, Nimble Obstructionist, and we have Snapcaster Mage, and only 2 at that. At times I've run 3, but it's not really a card I want to see in my opening hand. But yeah, should be a fun league. I bet we'll see tons of wacky stuff. It's an exciting time. The league's just opened at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We just entered a new season. So yeah, stick with me. Should be a good Grixis time. Alright. Winning the die roll in round 1 feels nice. I don't really have a proactive turn 1 play though, so you see a mulligan on the other side. Could mean combo, could mean mulling to Orcish Bowmasters. Alright, let's go. Polluted Delta. If I do have to force on turn 1 here, I think I'm going to pitch Jace. Island Ponder, sure. No shuffle. Not surprising considering how they were in the tank for that. Another Underground Sea. Oh, right. All my stops are gone. I almost timed out the last match I played. Let's throw those back in. Underground Sea. Let's send the turn. Still have no real indication of what I'm up against. 60 card deck. Another Ponder. This Ponder will shuffle. Urza's Saga. This looks a little bit like Cephalid Breakfast. Yeah, it looks a lot like Cephalid Breakfast. Given that I have Kolaghan's Command in hand, I'm not going to force Retrofitter Foundry, but this is the kind of card that can just entirely grind us out. Alright, I would like to remove this as soon as possible. However, since they'll have 3 mana next turn, they could always just, you know, play a Nomads or a Shuko and a Cephalid, and all I will have is Force of Will to protect myself, so if that means giving them a servo, I think being alive, I don't think that is worth the risk. Okay, we're going to the end step. No land drop. They might... I can see them having Cephalids in hand and just waiting to cash this out for a Shuko and then cast Illusionist and hope to catch us unawares. Hopefully I can get like a Thoughtseize off the top, but on this end step I'm going to destroy a Retrofitter and have them discard. Red, black, blue. Put them to the test here. Okay. I'd rather see that than like a Flusterstorm. Okay, and they're just going to discard. Hanging on to that interaction, if there is any indeed. Whoa, they dropped Force of Will? That's kind of scary. Ooh, just what I wanted. Tell me your secrets. Aha. Well, good lord. Truly rolled up, huh? Good thing I had this Thoughtseize. I think I'd like to... Well, they don't have white mana. Do I take that gamble? I think I'm going to take Force of Will. Yeah. If they find white, I'll force the chant. Bolt the Cephalid. I don't like that they have a backup. Well, they will have to spend a blue card if they force back, which I assume they will. I kind of like just taking the one that requires an immediate answer, and then I can strip more of the resources if we get into a fight. It's a little risky, obviously, but yeah, the math makes sense in my head. Brainstorm. Nimble Obstructionist. That can really mess up their day. Let's see. Narset's nice too. Let's put back... well, I can't have access to double force, I don't think, unless I put Lightning Bolt back, and that's unacceptable. So let's go like this. Draw the Obstructionist next turn, because it's a really good way to play around Orm's Chant. And I'd like to make my land drop. I guess I could have gave up on a land drop this turn, but I mean, we gotta pull forward, right? No surprise there. Illusionist, yeah. Lightning Bolt. Force of Will. Pitching to Fairy. So they're hanging on to that step through. I could Obstructionist that, but it's kind of nice if their whole deck is gone, you know. So we'll force back, obviously. And, well, I kind of want to hold up the Stifly Bird next turn. Maybe just having more forces is better than none. I don't know, actually. I can't pitch you. Too cool, too cool. This thing will get to smash for 2. I'm pretty safe to just resolve Jace next turn. They don't have the resources to go off. Their hand is Nomad Step Through. We're drawing Narset next turn. Life ain't so bad. Quick pass there. This basic island is kind of messing them up too. They could at least have a Nomads in play. Now I have an old saying that's, if you untap with Jace, you win the game. Obviously that's not true, but I like to say it. There's no better feeling than untapping with Jace, except maybe untapping with Sorin. That also feels pretty good. I still think they're kind of not resource heavy enough to go off. I mean, they could be sandbagging a land or an illusionist, and if they just draw a land and play it, we're toast. So I'm not going to play Narset as much as I want to. I'll just make my land drops. Next turn, I can play Narset and hold up the Stifly Bird. Bloodstained Mire, BSM as I call it, NPV, get that Sorin, 3 lands to the bottom, they'll probably get shuffled up. BS, Baleful Strix. I'll continue to make land drops. Oh, I should have put Sorin back. That was silly. Oh. Man, what is wrong with me? Did I miss a land drop at some point? I guess I did. Anyways, getting carried away. Locking out their cantrips will really hurt them. Aha. Alright. Do a little Azcantaing. Lightning Bolt, some nice insurance. Do a little brainstorming. Force of Will is nice. More bolts. Yeah, we'll put a land on top and Sorin into it. Black, 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 blue. The gang's all here. Now I gotta make sure I don't run out of fetchables when the time is nigh for a Stifly Bird. I still have a Badlands and a Mountain to fetch, so I do have double bolt up. Usually these decks run 1 Cabal Therapy. I could even stifle this if I want to, but I don't think it's necessary. I will have to choose though if I want to stifle or just bolt the Illusionist, and I think since I have 2 and a Force of Will, I can just pretty easily outmuscle them. There's that dude. Yeah, let's do this now. We know they can't have double force because one of their cards is white. Smite thee. Goes down without a fuss. Another force down. This looks a lot like the Brian Koval list. Staves. Mystic Sanctuary. Time for more Planeswalker shenanigans. Plague Engineer. Yes, please. Throw that on a Wizard, and we won't have to worry about their combo until they get it out of the way. Brazen Borrower is some new tech that these decks have been on. I could have actually brainstormed with Jace first and then taken no damage off the Sorin. That would have been a little more efficient, I think. Let's put Strix on top and just have as much interaction ready as we possibly can. Put this on Wizard. Okay. I agree, it was a pretty commanding lead. For the sideboard, I'll take another Plague Engineer. Opposition Agent isn't really at its best here. It's a little slow, and you're really only fighting Step Through and then Saga value, but on the play you can think about it. I'll take Surgical because it's free interaction on turn 0. I don't really like the ones that don't hit creatures. However, now that Orm's Chant is something we really have to respect, and Staff of the Storyteller's in the mix, I don't hate Spell Pierce. Red Blast is cool. Or I'll go one of each for Cabal therapy reasons. Also, it's a combo deck that plays to the board, so I don't want all my Thought Seizes. Hymn to Turok on the draw is just, I don't think I have the luxury. They also play to the board, so I can trim on Force of Will. Although, like I said, Orm's Chant must be respected. And also, I'll cut some of the slower stuff. They're a scary deck. They go fast. I think Fable also falls in that category. Meltdown doesn't really, I mean, it hits Shuko, but, well, I like having one because if they pivot onto like a full-on Saga plan, then you're going to want some way to sweep it up because it is a lot of value. And also Retrofitter Foundry is something you want to respect. Brazen Borrower just does a lot of good stuff. Nimble Obstructionist, great. Cling to Dust, great. Kolaghan's Command, great. The Edicts are a little tenuous. They're not quite as targeted as you want in this matchup, so I can see shaving one of those. Sometimes it's the only good way to get rid of a Nomad, but I'll take another Meltdown over an Edict. And we'll give this a shot. Having one land is not ideal. However, Force of Will, Meltdown, cantrips. We don't really have the luxury to just cantrip our life away against this deck, but I also really don't want to mulligan when I do have some relevant interaction. If I just mulligan to a hand without any interaction and they have a quick Goldfish, that's not a world I want to play to. Scalding Tarn, go. So they're not going to give us the turn 2. That's very nice. Now I feel a lot better about this Ponder. Don't love drawing a second Meltdown though. Unless they're really in on a Urza's Saga Retrofitter Foundry plan. Okay. These are all pretty good cards. I think I'll want to Thoughtseize next turn. Cling to Dust is also great, but obviously I want access to a land. Let's see what happens here. I think I'm prepared to force a Staff, since I'm following up with a Thoughtseize next turn. I'll force a Foundry too. I don't care. I have no clue what this could mean. Hopefully we'll get to find out. Some movement here. If they use a Step Through and don't counter this, Brainstorm, okay. So they're likely going to hide some pieces. What I'm hoping not to see is multiple A's of the combo or multiple B's of the combo. I'm hoping that they can't protect the whole kit and caboodle. Oh, okay. Do I take the Chant or the Illusionist? Probably the Illusionist. I'll be really interested to see if they shuffle at the end of turn, or before their draw step, rather. I'm going to take the combo piece. There's no point in taking the Chant if they're not going to combo. No shuffle, so they were hiding something. It was a Staff. I said I was going to force this, didn't I? Let's Brainstorm first. Oh no. Oh no. Well, if I Brainstorm again next turn, I'll look at 2 new lands since I'll just redraw one of these. With another Thoughtseize, I guess I'm not, and with Cling to Dust, of course, I'm not as scared of their combos, so, yeah, I'm cool to force this thing. What the hell? I'll spend 2 cards for your 1. And that's it. Alright, I guess I could take the gamble of brainstorming. I hate missing a land drop here, it's terrible, but if I miss on land, then they just Orm's Chant and then combo me. That's bad, obviously. Since I'm not facing down any pressure on board, I'm just going to redraw the Meltdown next turn and then actually have a full look at Brainstorm. Okay. If it's really looking like things are not happening for them over there, I could always cycle this Cling to Dust, but I think that is a little dangerous. Yeah, they're going to pass here. I don't know. Not going to do it. Little help here. Great. And the Stifly Bird is back. I'll hang on to 1 Meltdown. Yeah. Not casting this Strix. Let's keep those shields up. If I can untap into Cling to Dust and Stifly Bird, that would be great. Illusionist. Okay, well, they want to do something. They still have 2 Brainstorms in hand. Are they going to try and put it together here? Maybe. Yeah, I'm glad I held on to a Meltdown. Technically, I have access to both of them still. I could do this right now. That gives them less chances to find something to protect this Foundry with. But I'm not really facing any immediate threat. I'm at 14. I mean, why let this get out of hand? "13 is not immortal." No fuss over that. Their hand is Brainstorm, Illusionist, 1 unknown. We see a shuffle, so whatever was under that, they wanted to get rid of it. That's good news for us. I generally like it when combo decks are drawing blind. We live to tell the tale. Now I just want to make... Cool. I was just about to say, now I just want to make land drops until I get to the point where I can deploy Baleful Strix and hold up Cling and Nimble Obstructionist. That's the world I want to live in. And we're just 1 land drop away from that. Illusionist. Pass. Okay. Could be bait. Could not be. Narset. A little pricey. Can't really cast that right now. That would be really irresponsible. The good news about this crazy little guy is that if they Cabal Therapy me, it's very unlikely that they'll, oh crap, they'll name Nimble Obstructionist. But it looks like they don't even really need to combo. They might just win the value game here. I might be forced to just throw Baleful Strix out there next turn, unfortunately. Like I said, at 13, effectively 10 after this attack and my fetch lands. 5 turns is a little closer than I'd like. Okay, well, we hit the land anyways. I expect if I drop Narset too, that'll soak up some damage. Alright, Baleful Strix, let's see something good. Another one. But I'm gonna hold up my interaction. I'm not really forced into that play yet. Let's see if they draw a card off their staff. Brainstorm, sure. It's fairly likely they have their combo at this point. They've just seen a lot of cards. Let's see if they shuffle it away. Yep. So they found a 4 they liked, they put away 2, and they're probably going to draw off their staff here if I had to guess. Oh no, interesting. Are they going to redraw Orm's Chant and just try and go off? No, they're going to redraw Brainstorm. Tempting to cling to Dust, but you can have Brainstorm. I'm going to block. Just hang on to as much life as I can. Or maybe I play Narset. They're drawing Brainstorm. Or they just drew Brainstorm. I can't keep track. Yeah, they just drew Brainstorm. So this will kind of force them into playing that, because I don't think they would attack with the Illusionist. Okay. More land. Don't hate it, but some action would be nice too. Dropping Narset while having Cling and Obstructionist up is pretty sweet. Brainstorm. Might be now or never on that. Uh-oh. We're going to get Force and Negation here? Or just more cantripping? Draw card. We're in there. A Brainstorm of our own? I can do that at the end of turn if I don't have to fight for my life against this Cephalid combo. You know, my clock is getting kind of low. I'm going to remove some stops. Okay, they're coming at Narset. I'll let that slide. I'm sure I'll find some way to keep it on the field next turn. Another staff. Ay, ay, ay. Yep. The mid-range plan is strong. That's why this deck is so powerful. Comes at you from many angles. Rainforest. 4 cards in hand. We're evened up there, but even with Narset around, the just drawing like 1 extra card on my turn can really add up. My hand is already good though, so I don't really know what this Brainstorm will do. Kolagon's Command. Hell yeah, dude. Do I even want to shuffle away Ponder? It's a little dirtily, but I have so much mana. Yeah, I think so. Kolagon's Command is very expensive, so I'm going to cast it now. Probably shatter a staff and deal 2 to the Illusionist. Or I could get Strix back. Yeah, that sounds better. It's kind of silly, but I think I'm just going to ignore those staffs and just play to a world where I have Narset on the field. F6. Kind of give away that I don't have counter magic, but or that I don't care about this spell resolving or not. They're going to fight over it. It's fine with me. No, no, no. I targeted it. If I just flip Dread Return out of nowhere, I'll be sniping that one. Narcomoeba. Ooh. It's looking harder and harder to defend this Narset. Brazen Borrower makes that a little easier. Kacha. Draw a card, please. Delta. Tons of resources. And then we'll just send you to the blind eternities. Okay. Pass, pass, pass. I better win this game. Jeez. Down to 8 minutes. But they probably still are thinking about comboing a little bit, I'd assume. What's this? Petty Theft? It is indeed. Bouncing a Strix. That's some good value for me, but they are going to kind of bully me into not interacting with this, because if I do, they can just combo. So that's really unfortunate. Yeah. Alright, you got it. That Brazen Borrower tech, some powerful stuff. Cantrips back on. Let's get this Borrower in here. Do I attack with this? Probably. It can't block the Illusionist. Oh, that's a good one. 1, 2, 3. Brainstorm. Okay, that's worth a Force of Will to them. Makes sense. They're really protecting this this Illusionist. A Brainstorm of my own. Well, I don't have the luxury to cast that right now, but maybe someday. Man, they're really pulling ahead with these stabs. Brazen Borrower, yep. I doubt they'll hit here. But then they can flash back and hit. Lightning Bolt, Let's see what they do. Okay, they are going for it. What you got? Okay, they are taking it. I love seeing a lot of respect for that card, because it is not a legacy staple by any stretch. Step through, okay. Oracle, okay. So they're going to try and combo without use of the graveyard. Could use a little help here. Surgical Extraction, not great. So I guess what I need to do is shuffle and then cling to dust and hopefully hit a some kind of way to destroy Cephalid Illusionists. I mean, we haven't seen any Red Blasts yet, or Lightning Bolts, right? Yeah, we're down to 25 cards in deck. This could reasonably hit. I'll hang on to Surgical just in case, of course. All right. Here we go. Beautiful. They do hit another Narcomoeba. So we still have to beat the mid-range plan, of course. But we could also extract these right now. It's going to 5 even tenable? I think it has to be, right? What if they just have another one in hand? Well, then their Oracle's in hand. Alright. A land? Crap. Well, cling to dust, time to shine, that's for sure. I don't want to get comboed, so let's extract these. Oh, they had another one in hand. What luck. They also have 3 years of sagas to fight through. This is not going to be easy, y'all. But we'll do our best. Yield until the next end step. Teferi. Ugh, that was terrible. Oh boy. Bouncing a staff, that makes sense. Urza's Saga, yeah, this one is really slipping away, ain't it? No attacks, cool. Snapcaster Mage, that's a good one. Let's just start throwing stuff at the wall. Kolaghan's Command. Return, 2 damage. Plague Engineer, yes. Black, black, red. Boom, boom, boom. Very diverse creature types, I believe. Soldier, spirit, illusion. I feel like Narcomoeba should be a spirit, right? Rogue doesn't hit anything else, unfortunately. And then we're going to have to also find a meltdown eventually. But we got a plan. Block, not surprised, okay. F6. F6 again. Wish I still had my Narset. That was ages ago. They shuffle. Yeah, these constructs are going to be a pain. Another Kolaghan's Command, though, is lovely. Yeah, let's just try and play quickly here. Or can I even afford to? No. Make your constructs. Attack with this. If I can cycle this thing into a new creature type, that'd be great. Or generally do stuff that confuses them is also good. Or get 2 damage across. Also good. Oh, attacking with Snapcaster Mage is a fine line as well, because then I can get that card back. Yep. Arriving as 3/3s, charging your staff. Pretty wild stuff. Yeah, if they can just draw their whole deck because of staff, that'd be pretty wild. Then I would need my Stifly Bird back. Alright, let's go. Return this, destroy artifact, Brazen Borrower, that guy. Boom. Draw a card, yep. You know, it might have been better to have Snapcaster Mage take the hit. Did I pitch the other one? Okay, they're forcing that anyways. Yep. Alright, block there. Wait, no, that's bad. I wish I could trade. There's still another meltdown in here. Do I need to cling to dust for life? Probably not yet. Narcomoeba, okay. Oh, cling to dust. So much clicking. Edict. Snapcaster Mage, okay. They have so many cards though, it's tough. Hit Meltdown this time. Meltdown for 2. Kapow. I think they're out of permission at this point. Now I'm not feeling so bad. Attack. Okay. I wish I could set up a stop that's like yield unless they play to fairy. Block there. More nomads. Lots of nomads. Okay, well, shouldn't there be another Plague Engineer somewhere? Should I draw a card or Edict? I think I'll draw a card. That costs more mana. Pyroblast. A little late for that. Ponder. Find me Plague Engineer, please. Nope. I don't know if we'll get there, but we'll try. If we just race like this, I'd be feeling pretty good. Plenty of bolts to make that happen. Since my card advantage is Cling to Dust, I probably won't get there. Dang, yeah, there's Teferi. Too bad. Although resetting this is kind of nice. Put it on Soldier. Or Core, fine, whatever. 1 minute to go. There's the Saga. Hopefully that's too slow to win. I feel like playing the Oracle as a chump blocker is probably a good plan. Spell Pierce useless. Just need one more attack. Can we do it? I'm gonna draw off Cling to Dust. Ah. Come on, Lightning Bolt. Boo. Shit. Okay, go. F6, F6. Spell Pierce coming back to bite me. Here we go. Moment of truth. Red Blast? I don't think that'll do it. Draw one more card if it will allow me. Plague Engineer? No. Shoot. Maybe they'll mess up. What the hell? They let the damage through? They must have a counter spell. I can't believe that worked. Insane. On to the next one. Alright, here we are back for round 2. This hand's pretty cool. Got 2 lands. Force of Will if they're doing something busted. Lightning Bolt if they're not. Cling to Dust, just all around good stuff. They're down to 5, so I imagine this Force would be pretty nice. In round 1, I was like, they must be mulling to Orcish Bowmasters. And maybe this person is too. I hear that card is the nuts. Volcanic Island. Delver of Secrets. I might have not been wrong. I hear that Grixis Delver is currently the popular shell for that card. Now let's get these stops back in here. Last match got pretty close to the wire. Alright, I usually just bolt these things on sight, especially with Spell Pierce so popular in the format. Given that they are on 5 cards, I wouldn't mind too much if they traded Wasteland. I mean, I usually love and I want at all costs to play on basics against Delver, but given their low resources, for both of these reasons, I'm going to wait for the Delver trigger, and also, I mean, it's not like I could get Basic Mountain, but if I could, I'd think about it. Let's see what the deal is. Brainstorm. That's a good way to rebuild. Although the less cards you have, the weaker it feels. Important to note, we did not get stifled. Okay, that goes without a fuss. It's always nice to have your Delver opponent have no threat. As long as they're not attacking, we're usually winning. Flooded Strand. I don't know if that would be in a Grixis build. I mean, I think it would actually. I think it just runs 2 of each blue fetch. Although we're still not seeing any black mana. Okay, DRC. I could see myself forcing that in some situations, but okay, they will be delirious as well, so I might want to cling to Dust just to keep the damage off and also keep it in range of Kolaghan's command, but in general I consider K-Command on DRC a very risky play, and that you only really should do it if you have full information. Force of Will, okay. We could pretty much brute force anything. We're just so up on cards we can probably just like counter anything they do if we really want to. I'm gonna look for a land drop and then also, oh, here we go. Let's go like this. I like to go like this. And then plan on casting Cling to Dust. I guess before they could get another look at a Daze, and also before they can untap into a Spell Pierce. I don't mind that. Out of these, I find it'd be cool if they drew a land, because that's just less action. But I think Artifact is the least likely to replace. But given that there's no sorceries yet either, it's just fairly likely they'll be back on Delirium. I'll take the Bauble. I don't want them to just wasteland me and then attack for 3. If they ponder and attack for 3, that's a little less damaging to my psyche. Cool. Nothing doing. I think given their position, if they had any way to get Delirium, they'd be trying their darndest to do that. They're very low on resources. More of them. Okay. I wonder. Oh boy. This is where Plague Engineer would be really great. And it's possible I really should have cast Force of Will on one of those. But I think I would rather... And then this doesn't grate if they have some way to use that last card in hand, but I'm going to K-Command one of these and have them discard, and then hopefully find some way to stabilize after that. Or I could Brainstorm, because this could potentially be tons of damage. Also, it's possible I'll want to hit Delver of Secrets, since if that flips and they don't have Delirium, you know, stranger things have happened. And then I'm going to want to hang on to this Bloodstained Mire. If these Force of Wills and Narset just look too unwieldy, we're going to have to be pretty efficient. This is a lot of threats. See what happens. Lightning Bolt. This is incredibly aggressive. I'll weather the hit here. Okay. I hope it's a sorcery. If it's another Lightning Bolt, youch! If it's Daze, I'll frickin' force it. It's Brainstorm. Okay, well, they'll be discarding something, I guess, but yeah, I don't love it. And yeah, I just have to hit this bug. There's a world in which these don't have Delirium, but the world I live in, this is always a bug. Oh, they're just letting it go? That's interesting. I might have cast that if I were them. Maybe there's something you'd rather discard. Brainstorm seems like some good selection. How about a Plague Engineer off the top, eh? Baleful Strix. I love it. Do I Brainstorm first? Nah, if I draw another Strix, that's just... I can't dream of a better turn. Brainstorm. Lightning Bolt. Oh, man. I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven. Let's put this back in the deck for later. And since I'm already so open to Wasteland, I might as well just have perfect mana. Then we pretty much just force whatever they do. There's no more EI in the world, so I'm pretty sure Delver is just on the the 1-for-1 train these days. I might just force pitching force. Okay, cool. That's definitely the kind of start that can win, though. I'm not usually prepared to handle 4 threats. Alright, let's get Red Blast and Blue Blast, and Plague Engineer, and Sudden Edict. Spell Pierce is okay. I mean, it's good to know first if they're on Minsc Boo or Maddening Hex. You can reasonably expect some kind of mid-range threat to come in post-side. And they're not a deck that will have a lot of mana. Flusterstorm, a little more suspect, but it is good if you're trying to force through your threats or your removal. Hymn to Turok, huge luxury, untenable. Thoughtseize, I do not like. Jace has Pyroblast Me written on it. Nimble Obstructionist, while it does trade, it doesn't do so efficiently at 3 mana, and it's just another 3-drop that can be red blasted. Same with Narset, but it is a powerful effect in the matchup, so I'll hang on to 2. Fable is a red 3-drop that can get blue blasted. Oh, but I don't like having 4 forces, so let's cut 2 of those. Bring in Flusterstorm as an efficient way to interact. From the Catacombs is nice because even if they counter it, you can just get it back, but introducing the initiative to a game against Delver is, well, I guess it's the kind of thing you would do when you have 5 mana, but it's still a little scary. What else? I guess this is 60. Sorin is a big ask at 4 mana against the Daze deck on the draw. So I could see that just trading that for, or I guess I'd rather trade the super, yeah, let's do this. I don't care if they counter that, unless they want to counter it for the rest of the game. And then I could trade Fable for a 3rd force on the draw. Or just 1 Thoughtseize. Yeah, this one is up to taste, I would say. Whatever you want to do. Me personally, 1 Thoughtseize. I want 1 in my opening hand, and then I never want to see another one. I have access to basics. Let's say Swamp, Island, and then our red is a little unstable, but hopefully Ponder can fix that. And while we're developing, we'll shoo away anything annoying with Bolts and Edicts. Okay, so one of their cards is a Bauble, so they have a little less control over their hand than expected. Wooded Foothills, does that mean we are on Rug and we just didn't see any Tarmogoyfs last game? Tarmogoyf is a threat that is pretty sticky since Fatal Push is not really malleable enough for my deck. I used to run it, but now I'm more on Shieldred's Edict since it does so much. They don't lead on a threat though. I love that. No shuffle on that. Another Bauble. Are they going to cash that in right away? Or maybe on my turn? Lots of Baubles, and that makes this Thoughtseize not super attractive. Oh, they're cashing in 2 of them. I think this Thoughtseize is fine. And they're looking at their card too. Maybe they just can't wait. So now this Thoughtseize is as powerful as I was hoping it would be. Spell Pierce. Very cool. Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry, everyone. I played the wrong land. Okay. Well, I guess instead I'm going to hold up Spell Pierce. We'll see how bad I'm punished. Pretty bad. Pretty bad is the answer. Looks like they're on 1 land, though. So, does that mean... That's interesting. Ooh, Kolagon's Command. Never sad to see that one. I guess the whole world has changed now, and I'm going to use Thoughtseize as a way to... Unless they start getting low in cards in hand, I'm just going to use this as a way to get my more impactful cards to resolve. So yeah, instead we're going to Lightning Bolt, hold up Spell Pierce. Maybe my punt will actually change the texture of the game so much that it puts me in a winning position. They also seem to be F6'd, which seems like they don't have Force of Will or a Daze or anything. Delver. This is similar to last game, except they have way more resources. I was also kind of expecting to see a Wasteland. Sometimes Delver will conceal that information. But yeah, this Spell Pierce has not found a target yet. Brainstorm. Always nice to see that one. I could Edict now and just play around Daze. And Spell Pierce. I guess I could Spell Pierce a Spell Pierce. Yeah, I wouldn't mind some more information, honestly. In card. Let's get a basic Swamp. I thought I was about to get stifled there. What do you think about this? They don't care. No play whatsoever. Well, this has to be a good time for our Thoughtseize. And we draw the land naturally, so maybe I don't even ponder. Let's get some info. Brainstorm. It's possible I should just Spell Pierce this. Really press my advantage. I generally like taking a defensive posture in this matchup, unless I'm just completely steamrolling and want to get the game over with. But they also have been missing land drops and didn't play a threat last turn. One Brainstorm could change your life. Okay, it is Rug. Their hand is not so great. I'm gonna have to devise a way to deal with these Murktide Regents eventually, which is a little scary, but I do have 2 powerful cantrips. I wonder if I should just take Red Blast. I think you're always supposed to be taking threats if you're Thoughtseizing at all in the first place. Tarmogoyf is by far the stickiest. There's no green elemental blast out there, and I'm going to ponder because I do want some kind of plan going forward for these Murktide Regents. Yeah. I don't know if I need 2 Kolaghan's commands, but Cling to Dust is a house in the matchup, and Sudden Edict is fantastic. Okay. I'm feeling pretty set up. Even though they have more cards in hand, 2 of them are not really relevant against my deck, unless I'm about to die. Okay, Wasteland, sure. I don't really mind them drawing that. If I can bait them into a Red Blast on Brainstorm, that would also be pretty cool. Now if they draw another one, that could be another Wasteland, that could be kind of troublesome. I don't want to do this on their turn. Let's try and tie up their mana. If I Brainstorm in their upkeep, that would give them a real headache, I think. What do you think about this? Okay, they bite. No Murktide this turn. No land drop either. Feeling pretty good. Let's start working on the graveyard. And then there's just a Brainstorm and a Ponder left. Snap is not a bad draw. Do I just Thoughtseize again? Nah, I don't want to do that to my life total. However, yeah, let's just hang on to Snapcaster. At the end of turn, if they don't do anything, I'll just Shock and Raven's Crime via Kolaghan's command. Sure wish I still had double blue, but I don't think that Wasteland was that bad for us because it means they're not developing. But this is a very anemic K command. I wish I had 4 mana. Then I could just be doing the Cling to Dust grinding machine. Okay, 1 Murktide down. That's cool. Did they draw yet another one? I wonder. There was a pause. Sometimes people bring in Surgical Extraction against me. Oh, jeez. You don't have to rub it in. But yeah, this is hilarious. We'll see if we ever get there. Okay, yeah, they're just going to start firing bolts upstairs. I'm wondering if I should snap Thoughtseize, because if they have another one, then I would be more dependent on drawing a land to sudden edict again, and that would also require them to not have Red Blast, which is a card they could totally have right now, as they are not making land drops. Neither are we. That's too bad. See if this will eat a Daze. That will make Kolaghan's Command a little better. Well, we actually have the human threats kind of answered. Yeah, why not? Throw it on Hamster. They're not doing anything. They're going to hold on to that Chain Lightning. Hopefully we draw a land here. Cling to Dust. Could be a land. Could be anything. Could be a land. I'm going to cycle that main phase because with this dumb 5-drop in hand, I would really like to start making land drops. They don't have any instants and sorceries to hit, so I guess I'll just hit their land, bring them down to 2 card types in graveyard. Lovely. Double blue would have been nice, but you know, I'll take a basic land for sure. Yeah, they're feeling pretty aggressive. Uh-oh, looks like another Murktide Regent. Their Chain Lightning makes the clock a little scarier. Lightning Bolt. If I had put this on Dragon, I could have just bolted this thing. That's pretty funny. I don't want them to untap into Red Blast. Okay, they are dazing. That will work. I did not really account for that. So I guess instead what we'll do is cast a... What if I just target Cling to Dust and gain 3 life? Maybe that's where I should be. If I draw another red source, I can probably burn this Murktide Regent down. Yeah, I think I want this on the field. I think it'll take too long to do the whole K-Command thing. And I like the idea of having more time via a padded life total. That effectively counters one of the bolts. But I don't like seeing a Cling to Dust go bye-bye. Let's hit the Tarmogoyf. If I from the Catacombs anything, I'll want to have flying. Alright. Maybe it was better to have the card, but I'm starting to worry a little bit about my life total. So they have Tropical Island, Chain Lightning, 2 unknown cards. We can reasonably expect them to start drawing some lands at some point. There's that. Tarmogoyf. Not as worried about that one. Narset. That's really unfortunate. I really want to make land drops though, so let's not grow the Murktide Regent and hit Mishra's Bauble. Yeah, we're in some trouble here. There's another pause. Maybe their last card was Daze? No. Force of Will is a little late. Could be in some trouble here. Probably just have to force just about anything here. Chain Lightning on Plague Engineer. Lets this Goyf kind of run free, so I guess I have to force that. Even though it would put me dead to Murktide Attack, Lightning Bolt. But, I mean, most lands I will draw will require that anyways, so... Ponder. No shuffle. Yee. Wooded Foothills. Oh no, is this another lightning bolt effect, I wonder. Seems like it. Sure is. Looks like we're going to game 3. It's going to be nice to be on the play. Let's trade Thoughtseize for him to Turok. And then... yeah, I think Sorin just completely stabilizes that game, whereas From the Catacombs does not. 5 is just a big ask against Delver. So we'll be... We did some experimenting, and I think we learned the conclusion. The hypothesis has been tested. I'm still just going to hang on to 2 Force of Wills. You never know where that new Lord of the Rings tech is going to jump out of nowhere. Also, they're clearly running Minsk and Boo. Okay, cool. This is nice. Stable mana, Cling to Dust, Emergency Force. No stable red mana yet, but hopefully it'll turn up. Alright. Lead on a swamp. And we'll see if I have the luxury to play around days or not. Leading on Rainforest. Delver of Secrets, yes. Underground Sea. Alright. Bloodstained Mire. Little too many lands for my liking, but hopefully Cling to Dust will convert that into lots of value. Delver does not flip. I wonder what that means. Cards I don't want to see include Sylvan Library. We take these. That's good for us. Them spending a card to beat a card that got us a card. It's just good math. Let's see. I'm going to start by cycling. Maybe I'll hit Brainstorm. Cool. That's exactly what I wanted. 3 non-lands, please. Close. I'll take it. Throw back these non-basics. And now we have all of our stuff represented. Still nothing. Fascinating. Well, if they play a DRC, I'm going to want to bolt that. Am I willing to take 1 damage? I think so. Might be irresponsible, though. More land. If they're working up towards a Minsk and Boo, I'll want this lightning bolt for sure. Basic mountain there. Hydroblast. We're just missing a red blast, and then we really have the full suite of interaction. End of turn Brainstorm. I was expecting another of those wily bolts at my face. Ponder. It's time to move on this. That just works. Alright, doesn't look like we're going to get hit with Minsk and Boo. DRC, sure. And a Ponder. Taking advantage of that Surveil. Wasteland to the Yard. Yeah, they certainly don't want that. Now I'm wondering if I should bolt this or Hydroblast it. If I Hydroblast this, I'm kind of giving up on a really sick answer to Minsk and Boo or Maddening Hex. whereas Lightning Bolt can deal with another Delver. Hydroblast cannot. It's nice having the luxury to talk about this stuff though, because we also have Baleful Strix that checks pretty much all their threats, especially DRC that's forced to attack. But I also bet they have a Red Blast. I'm like almost certain they have a Red Blast. Okay, I don't want to draw the basic island here. So let's get it out. Himdu Turok. I'm casting it. Turok compels me. It got a force. How about that? Now we bolt this. Ooh, they liked the card. We bolt this and then hopefully right off into the sunset with our 4 cards to their 3. And a Cling to Dust in the yard. They're flooding a little bit. Well, that's flooding for Delver. Delver flooding. If they have Spell Pierce, that would be bad, wouldn't it? I'll force it if it is. Yep. Or it's Red Blast. Okay. Narset or Strix? Narset or Strix? Jeez, that's hard. I think it's Narset. To keep, that is. Then we just... hopefully they never draw cards again. We find a bunch of 6 stuff like Snapcaster Mage. Spell Pierce. Well, the shields are down if they just rip another Minskin Boo. Maybe don't do that. Okay. Again, we take those. Spending a card to get my card that got a card. All that good stuff. Even though my clock is kind of low, I'm not going to K-Command draw step them. I think I'll just, if I don't have to do anything, I'll just, okay, I do have to do something. Instead, I'm going to be hitting this DRC with a Lightning Bolt. Cool. The hits keep coming. Again, though, I want to just maximize my Cling to Dust value because it's expensive. Also, this Spell Pierce is unlikely to do anything. It can still clip Minskin Boo, but that's about it. Let's exile Red Blast. That card is gnarly, man. 1, 2, 3. Himdu Turok is done. No need to him. Flusterstorm. Analogous to Spell Pierce, and that probably is... its job's probably done. Ooh, Sorin. Do I hold up Red Blast or Spell Pierce Flusterstorm? Probably these guys. Red Blast is kind of reserved for Delvers, Murktide Regents, Ethereal Foragers, Ponder, yep. They definitely clipped Narset at the right time before I could get that second card off of her. Bobble. Yep. Hopefully it's something good. And a pass. No reason to brainstorm yet. The only way this could really fall apart is they somehow work through my interaction and then I start flooding, at which point I'll want Brainstorm to turn lands into real cards. There's a land. And another one. They're both revealed, so I'll just play this one. And we'll continue the clock. Holding up our myriad of interaction. Although I guess Maddening Hex would be a little scary right now. It's possible I should have pondered there. If they Maddening Hex, I'll just work towards a Sorin Ultimate. only cast spells I truly need to. And hopefully between a Snapcaster Chump and Cling to Dust I can survive and dome them for 13 damage. Wooded Foothills. See some action. Could this be another Minskin Boo? Protected. No, it's a Brainstorm. Like I said, I'm not going to be aggressive and Red Blast a Brainstorm. This Brainstorm is not killing me. At least I don't think it is. And also, I suppose I could have minused Sorin and gotten a 2/3 lifelinker. That would have been also really nice, but I also like the card advantage and the... Ooh, sure. It's just a lot of good stuff. I'll play the card they know about. Just continue being discouraging. And that's what Grixis does best. An insurmountable advantage. Yeah, look at all this good stuff. I already have a Red Blast. I wouldn't be thinking about this much longer if I thought I was going to lose this game, because my clock is really low. Again, not really used to narrating. Play this out. I mean, they do have to deal with this Sorin. Bolt Sorin, yep. Little damage control there. Now at this point I think I will just minus Sorin. I think the game will be over before he can reach 7 loyalty again. Got a 2/3 almost Vampire Nighthawk. Attack, attack. I could just look for a Bolt. I have so much permission that with 2 cards in hand, they probably won't be able to stop it. They are Red Blasting a Snapcaster to stay alive with that in mind. I could have countered that, but I just don't think it's necessary. Play a Badlands. Brainstorm. Might even hit 2 bolts off this, who knows? No. I think I will play Narset though. I think Spell Pierce is probably... Nah, I think Flusterstorm has lost its usefulness. I might just pick it up again though, who knows? There's this. I'll take another Edict. So if they Minskin Boo, I'll cast 1 on the Planeswalker mode and 1 on the Hamster mode. That'd be funny. If my clock wasn't a concern, I would be Cling to Dusting here, but I think I'm just gonna conserve clock as a resource. Swing in with these 2. My opponent's at 2 life. Narset will probably find a Lightning Bolt, because I haven't seen hardly any of this match. Yep, there we go. Point this upstairs. See what happens. Force a Negation. Pyroblast. What's your last card? Probably Interaction. Alright. We remain undefeated. For round 3, looking at a mulligan here. Even if this was a black source, I don't like this hand either, but I don't want to go to 5. They've kept 7. And we'll send one of these Badlands. Hopefully they don't force check me. Oh, looking like it though. Fable the Mirror Breaker right off the bat. Pretty crazy stuff. Now this does make me want to get a basic land, because it might be a Blood Moon deck. I don't like the idea of letting them have a treasure token though, and could be facing something really scary next turn, but I mean, having the ability to play the game is also kind of important. They also might just Chalice next turn, and if I'm just drawing blind, could be bad. Bolt for the second half of Fable. Sorin to win the game with. Nimble Obstructionist to, I don't know, steal the initiative maybe. Definitely under the gun. That's kind of how it is when you're on the draw against Red Stompy. Let's see how bad it gets. Oh, okay. Boros. Then I can definitely expect some initiative. The white cards are usually for Seasoned Dungeoneer and maybe Anointed Peacekeeper. Not sure if Archon of Emeria will show up. That's usually for the mono white decks. And this also probably means they're not as likely to have Blood Moon effects. Could still happen. Cavern of Souls. Okay, here we go. Looks like a Caves of Chaos adventure. This is Bolt on Sight. They're down to 3 cards, but that is just, you know, or 4 plus that mountain. But they will probably run away with this. Well, you know, I could hang on to Sorin. Next turn I'll be able to Bolt and Edict, which might just end up answering their Shaman and whatever other else cards they got in the chamber. Who knows if we'll have time to draw Sorin, but it also might just be better than a blind card. Could come down, make a 2/3 blocker for the Shaman token. Yeah, I can buy that. I think I still want to Bolt though, because the Edict is really the only way I can deal with a Seasoned Dungeoneer. And I'll give them the chance to forge onto their Caves of Chaos adventure before bolting. They might be incentivized to gotta go fast. Yeah, it's happening. Cool. Here comes a Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. You know, if I just disrespected Blood Moon and was able to Lightning Bolt an additional threat this turn, that would have been pretty cool. Alas. I'll also regret if the only reason they could... Oh, that's right, they got a... If the only reason they could be powering out this stuff is because I didn't answer a Shaman token. There's the Dungeoneer I expected, so next turn I guess I'll just be bolting that and edicting that away, and then my only hope is that they're just completely out of gas and draw lands for like 2 turns so I can get the Obstructionist and Sorin going, but it's not likely. Kind of catching us on the off foot here. Alrighty. And then I just absolutely can't let this untap. Just do our best to sweep this up. They'll get an additional card off Archive as well, and then they'll be going to the Throne of the Dead 3 because I don't have any haste threats. I suspect we've lost this game, but that's okay. That's usually how game 1 goes against a lot of these stompy decks, unless you win the die roll. I'd be willing to concede to a threat though. Throne of the Dead 3 is also all but guaranteed to hit. They run plenty of creatures. Uh-oh. Alright, we're not reasonably beating this, but I guess I'll take a look at whatever else they got cooking. They will probably pick Seasoned Dungeoneer, I imagine. It's a card that can really solo the game. Ah, Anointed Peacekeeper. Nice try. I'm out of here. You don't get to see my stifly bird. Chalice confirmed. Okay. From the Catacombs, again, could be pretty good, but also is 5 mana, so is not very good. Anyways, Meltdown can catch their mana, and also Chalice of the Void is just something that really impacts my efficiency. Cling to Dust, I don't like it against Chalice decks, and also it's just kind of cantripping. Hymn to Taraka, we don't really have the luxury. Sudden Edict, yes. Opposition Agent is a flash beater. Plague Engineer is pretty handy. If they probably aren't on Rabble Master effects since they are playing all the initiative creatures, but maybe. Also, Elite Spellbinder. Also having a Death Touch creature is nice. What else? Hydroblast for the Caves of Chaos adventure, and also Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I think that's it for the sideboard. Spell Pierce hits Fable and also Chalice of the Void, but I don't know if you can really spend a lot of time worrying about that. This is a really fast and aggressive deck. Oh, I'm on the play. I'll take Thoughtseize. Their hands can be pretty easily collapsed. Alright, let's cut some top-end stuff. Force of Will is also tough because they'll usually mulligan to Cavernous Souls now that they know we're a blue deck. Or do they know that? What did I even show them? Yeah, I think they know that. Maybe. Yeah, that's right, I pondered. I need to make some cuts. How about a Narset? Kolaghan's Command is a little slow, but you really want those outs to Chalice. How about another one of these? It should be from the Catacombs, but, I mean, like in last game, this is the only card that could have saved us from that Throne of the Dead 3. Oh, Christ. I could cut a cantrip, being a 1-drop. Tough. I really want to test this. Okay, whatever. This is stupid, but I'm doing it. I would love to be on the play. Oh, this is not a great hand at all, but it's got the Edict, and it's got a flying threat that can take the initiative. It's got an answer to Chalice of the Void. It's got 2 answers to Chalice. It's got a Lightning Bolt. I can't throw it back in good conscience. If I mulligan down to a Force and they have Cavernous Souls, what then? It's very normal for this deck to mulligan. I wouldn't take that any sign of an advantage for us. Unless they're mulling down to like 4, then we can usually leverage that, but they start very strong. Alright. Go ahead and play out this BSM. And hope to not die. This will never happen, but if they do like a setup turn where if they're for some reason playing around discard spells and they like play a bunch of artifact mana out, Chalice of the Void, sure. Then Meltdown can be really crushing, but that's never gonna happen. That happens more against Storm decks. Let's play Baleful Strix out. Ooh, nice. Land number 3. Do I really want to play around Blood Moon? I didn't see any last game. I mean, it's pretty free just to get Basic Island. Or no, I think Basic Swamp is more free. Yeah. That's why I cut the cantrip, right? I'm contesting the initiative. You can see how big of a difference play draw is here. Okay, I'm glad I got this Basic Swamp. Now I have 2 Edicts. What's next? Also, leading on City of Traders is pretty cool, because now, well, their mana is not very stable. Playing a Plateau. And what is next here? Lotus Petal. Maybe it's that setup turn I was talking about. No, it's definitely Seasoned Engineer. We have a plan for this one. Unless their hand is like 4 of them, then we could be in some trouble. But I will be edicting this away. Another kind of nombo, and why a lot of these decks probably are not on moon effects, are you get a basic from the first room of the Undercity. Although Blood Moon is still great against like land strategies. Oh, look what's back. Always here when I have 3 lands. Well, I guess I'm about to have 4. Yo, this shit might actually pan out. If I draw 1 more land and I survive to turn 5, we can totally from the Catacombs. I'll get Basic Island this time, just to respect the moon effects I've been blabbering on about. Yes, please. There is that. It would be nice if this was Sudden Edict. Then I really wouldn't have to worry about something coming the hell out of nowhere, but there we are. With 4 cards and 1 mana, I'm feeling pretty good. Mountain. And Spirit Guide and Anointed Peacekeeper, sure. I wonder what they'll name here. Perhaps Bloodstained Mire? Or perhaps Shieldred's Edict, just attacks that stronger form of removal. Or perhaps from the Catacombs. No, that wouldn't be good. I think I do probably K-Command, you discard, destroy Chalice, and then cast Lightning Bolt on Anointed Peacekeeper, depending on what happens here. Okay, they do name Edict, so I'll do exactly what I just said. And with all this good stuff in my hand, I did say I wanted land number 5, I guess. I really want to go into the Forge, though. We can really start getting this game over with, and I get to draw a card in the archives. But I guess I should be responsible. I'll go to the Lost Well. Then the stash will actually give me that stuff too. I'm definitely rewarded for this decision. I can only get 1 though. It's definitely Sudden Edict. They could just re-Chalice. And Sudden Edict is super strong. Unless they clog up the board somehow. I'm just going to do what I said. They only have 2 cards in hand. I can really start putting the squeeze on. Solitude hits the bin. Let's go ahead and get more black mana here, considering we have a double black spell in hand. Hit that with Lightning Bolt. I'm gonna attack, even though if they have land Rabble Master, they could retake the initiative, but like I said, I really don't think they're playing those cards. Caracas. Doesn't affect my deck, but is certainly a powerful effect. Stash, please. Thoughtseize. Not really what I wanted to draw. Not very useful. I think it's probably more impactful just to get a Seasoned Engineer of my own. It's a little dangerous if they have, oh yeah, what if they have Touch the Spirit Realm? That would be a catastrophe, huh? Yeah, I guess it would. I guess I'll just hold on to my advantage. I'll use this if I have to wrench it back from them. It's tempting, though. I'd go straight into the throne. Okay, boom. There goes that. Okay, that's enough for them. Sideboarding doesn't change too much here. Could up our blue card count and cut... Oh, hold on. Thoughtseize is pretty bad now that we're on the draw. In fact, it's kind of unplayable. So yeah, we'll up our blue card count. Jace is a powerful effect. Narset is a powerful effect, if really hard to stick. They're always playing to the board, and also I'll take Brainstorm back, of course. Okay, fingers crossed, let's go. This hand is not that bad. Plague Engineer is nice. Baleful Strix, as you saw, is nice. Force of Will. They're mulliganing, so it's not like totally guaranteed that they have Cavern of Souls, though I know a lot of players who it's in their strategy to specifically mulligan for Cavern since you just can't get force checked. But there is a Ancient Tomb. That's not a Cavern. Doesn't mean they don't have it, but they don't have it right now. It feels really bad when like you let this resolve and then they just play Cavern of Souls and your force is kind of without targets for a lot of the league, but for the game, I mean. But I mean, I just don't know. I don't think I can afford to force this and then force pitch Brainstorm is kind of what I'm locked into here, I think. If I didn't have anything else going on, I'd even consider just pitching Baleful Strix to this Force of Will and then look for something with Brainstorm, but I've got my plan. I don't have any removal though. It's a toss-up. There are two divergent timelines here. I'm going down this route. We'll see if it works. More land. This Brainstorm would have been really nice. Another Ancient Tomb. Lotus Petal. Elite Spellbinder. It is pretty tempting to force this. If they had more stable white mana, they definitely wouldn't have used a Lotus Petal on that. And then this will just make everything all snafu'd. So yeah, I'm gonna cast Force of Will on this and hope they just don't really have a potent follow-up. Or a follow-up at all. Oh, uh-oh. It was bait! It was bait! Oh, Archon, okay. This I don't mind as much. Let's get a Badlands. Right? Or do I get C? I think I get Badlands. And then Basic Island will come in untapped, and then we have Archon checked, and they have no white mana. Come on, Strix trigger. No lands. Nice. I guess a Chalice on 2. If they draw a Chalice, that would be kind of bad. No attack. Well, that worked. Let's swing on in. With all these lands, pretty soon we won't care about Anointed Peacekeeper or Elite Spellbinder. Let's continue to develop. I am gonna fetch, because if I draw another land, I might lose my mind. Lightning Bolt. Boo. Get this on human. Alright, you're on a 4-turn clock. Maybe even less with those Ancient Tombs. Uh-oh. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Now this is quite a scary effect. I wonder if they're priced into a block, though. Ooh, look at that. We're all getting in on it. Now with this around, I think I'm just going to poke in the air. I'd still like to make sure that an Elite Spellbinder is not gonna cause any trouble. I hope they draw Elite Spellbinder, actually. Cavern and Archon go down, so they went for the full discard. Oh wait, no, sorry. Just Cavern goes down. So they're like one of their cards. Okay, they're introducing the initiative into this game, which I would consider pretty darn risky. Given that if I just can get to the trap, or find a way to remove this Chalice, but we'll see what happens. Definitely dump these 2 lands. Something good. Yeah, pretty darn good. Let's definitely get that Seasoned Dungeoneer out of here. It's very scary. Too scary. Go ahead and take the initiative, maybe price them into a block with their Shaman token. Oh, you hang back. Okay. Those will trade. Oh no, what's this? Okay. Love to see it. Okay. Very cool. On to the next one. Alright, here we are in match 4 against Pulpunte, who likes to play Show and Tell. And with that in mind, this hand is unkeepable. We're looking for Force or Thoughtseize. We miss again. They're keeping 7. We gotta throw it back again. Okay, there's Thoughtseize. We'll keep, get rid of Bolt, and a basic island, and hope they're actually playing Show and Tell. Because if they're not, I did this all for no reason. Show me your thoughts. Alright, I was not wrong. Pretty strong hand. I mean, it's pretty likely they'll find what they're looking for with all these ponders. Flusterstorm is an excellent way to protect your spell. And they have Grizzlebrand, so they have pretty much all they need except the resources to fire. I'm inclined to take Show and Tell just because I don't have any counter magic of my own, but Flusterstorm is definitely going to be able to protect it when they go off, unless I just have tons of mana. So, yeah, alright. Okay, that was their draw for turn, because we saw Scalding Tarn. Yep. And a quick shuffle. Perhaps they did not see the land they were looking for, or the Show and Tell. Baleful Strix. There's really no point in pondering right now, right? Might as well just get on board. Well, I mean, there is a point, but we're just so far behind. I need to recoup some of that disastrous Mold of 5. Lightning Bolt. Not really a relevant card in this matchup, unless they just go completely nuts with their Grizzlebrand. Scalding Tarn. Okay. Ponder number 2. No shuffle this time. That's unfortunate. The only good thing about having Flusterstorm as your protection over like Force of Will is that you need a little extra mana. Now it's time for us to ponder. None of these cards are relevant. I'm going to shuffle this. Cling to Dust, sure. If for some reason it gets super grindy, I'll get some cards out of this, but I'm kind of expecting them to just go off here. Okay, they're brainstorming. Getting one more turn at least. Vesuvan Drifter being a 2/4, I might just want to maybe Lightning Bolt at the end of turn. Try and get this game over with as fast as I can. Narset would be a really great find, because you can't Flusterstorm that. Okay, they don't shuffle. Frightening. Lotus Petal, okay. Although perhaps I should probably just keep this in hand in case I want to turn it into something better with Brainstorm. With this island in hand, I think I can just round out my colors with a Badlands here. Force of Will, okay. Not great in the face of that. Ooh, Nimble Obstructionist. Never mind seeing that fellow. I could pay for a Flusterstorm now, come to think of it. Or if it's looking like it just won't work, I could plan to stifle a trigger. Doesn't really work against Grizzlebrand unless, like, after that they just fire again and then they're at 1 and then I cast Lightning Bolt on them. Could work, I don't know. There it is. Well, it's time to decide. That's a really risky line. I don't even know if they have this Ponder anymore. They could be just entirely rolled up. What do I do? You know, you can't fluster this. You can't force this. They will draw 7 though, but they won't have a lot of mana. But they'll definitely be able to just counter this Lightning Bolt. No, they'll be at 1, so for science I am tempted to just let the Stifly Bird magic go, because I don't think they would shove if they only had Flusterstorm for protection. Okay, I mean, I'm not convinced this is smart. Don't try this at home. Oh Christ, it's Traxa. Alright, well, I guess they won't get 7 cards, but they also won't be at 1, so my cheesy strategy won't work. Baleful Strix will check this. Let's see if I can survive. I don't know if they even still have Grizzlebrand, honest. Maybe they were playing around Orcish Bowmasters. Ooh. Force confirmed. Pitching Flusterstorm. So they either have Grizzlebrand or Ponder in hand. Or, I don't know, they brainstormed. Who knows what they have. I'm going to force back, though. This is one of those cards that can help stabilize. Are we in there? I tapped wrong. I should have held up Lightning Bolt. But if I find Thoughtseize, I don't. Okay. I could brainstorm and look for a land drop. Okay. Not super relevant, but I mean, unless they just like sneak attack Emrakul, I feel weirdly okay. Let's see what happens. Them attacking into this Narset though and just getting all that life back is gonna make life kind of hard. I don't know what utilities Atraxa has after its ETB goes off, and they wouldn't have this in the first place if I had just countered, but I also wouldn't have drawn off that Stifle trigger. I hope it was the right line. Another Force of Will is great. I probably don't need 3 Narsets. Let's play another Strix, just in case they started playing removal when I was not looking, but I don't think they do. Sorin the Mirthless. Cool. I guess I'll play around Flusterstorm. I think they have a Grizzlebrand still in hand, though. I think they might have expected to get like a sneak attack off this Atraxa and then really go crazy. That's probably why they forced that Narset, or tried to force Narset. Plague Engineer. Pretty useless in the matchup. I can't imagine they're playing that many copies of Flusterstorm in their main board. Hardcast Force of Will. I don't fight over this. This is not my fight. I think I will poke for 1 though. Gotta get this game over with. They do have a pretty safe eject button though. If they just are getting too low on life, they can just send Atraxa in and I'm all but obliged to block and give them life. If I draw another blue card, I might want to do another Narset. I don't. I do have Hardcast Force of Will. I'm going to cycle this real quick, see what comes up. More land, okay. Oh, I forgot to attack. Sorry, everyone. Still no attacks. Let's get grinding. I guess I'll hit Show and Tell. I should have done this in the first place. So when Emrakul, if Emrakul ever shuffles their deck back in, they'll have one less Show and Tell. Sheedict. It's never getting better than this. More Force of Wills. Alright, again, not my fight. They have some truly devastating stuff they can pull off. Now, if I get to cast Cling to Dust again in the end step, should I leave Thoughtseize or Edict in the bin for a potential Snapcaster? And I'm thinking perhaps I'll leave Thoughtseize. Or I can leave them both now. The Stifly Bird, though. What if I draw Kolaghan's Command? This thing does some real cool stuff, so I'm going to leave it around. And I just want to test it as much as possible. I'll cut Thoughtseize since I'm sitting on counter magic. Oh, they're dazing it, sure. I guess Daze is going to have a hard time finding targets. This is the one you this is the one you want to draw lands the least. You have a tenuous lead. You're fighting for control. It's almost there, but they have a big scary monster. It's close. I guess next turn I can play Narset and hold up Force of Will. That's pretty cool. Alright, what's happening? Kolaghan's Command, just like I talked about. The Shock is could also be super relevant here. I'm gonna wait for just one more turn and use Kolaghan's Command before playing another Narset out. But I think I'd rather have them discard. They'll probably just ditch a cantrip, but still seems pretty relevant. Just constricting their resources, that's another card they can pitch to force as well. We've only seen 2, and they're almost halfway through their deck. Okay, they're F6. They're going right to the discard mode there. Emrakul, that's what I was talking about. That would put one Show and Tell back in their deck and a bunch of cards I don't really care about. Is there any way? No, I can get one more card in my yard, but that's not enough. Alright, there it goes. I wonder why they want to get rid of that one, though. That one seems good, unless they have multiples. Snapcaster Mage, cool. Let's attack first. Oh, you know what? I could have attacked for even more. But let's just sit back. I could assemble like quite the Air Force if at the end of turn I get to like snap Sheoldred's Edict. And then also flash in the Stifly Bird. I think they'd be forced to have to interact with that. Okay, that resolved, so that means this will probably resolve. Oh, they're conceding. Okay, cool. We got there. Game 1. Doesn't happen super often, and this matchup gets a lot better post side. All the permission in the world comes in. From the Catacombs, maybe. Surgical Extraction. Because like you saw, our lead was so tenuous, it would have felt a lot more safe if I could just extract Show and Tell. Thoughtseize, yes. I doubt would be able to You can never get an Emrakul with this from the Catacombs, I guess unless you have Teferi out, but we don't have Teferi, and that's a pretty crazy scenario I just thought up. Plague Engineer now. The cool thing about Opposition Agent is that it is a flash beater, but I don't think they play Intuition. They probably just run Vesuvian Drifter instead of Intuition these days. Sorin's too slow, Fable is slow, even though it's nice card selection. Jace is slow but blue. Call that a maybe. Lightning Bolt, not good. One of the only times you'll see me cite it out. Cling to Dust, not really the matchup for that, even though you could argue it won us that game. I also don't like the Edicts. Like, their creatures always get so much value just by entering, but it's kind of a necessary evil. And also Vesuvian Drifter is vulnerable to Edict. Kolagon's Command, you could also cut that, and I guess I'll cut one of those. I can't really think of anything else unless I just cut the last Lightning Bolt. It just feels so weird not having any. Sometimes they have a Magus of the Moon or something. You could also cut a Baleful Strix. I'll do that. Just shave one Strix. Alrighty. It's pretty good. I mean, we really want lands, but hopefully this Brainstorm will deliver. And we got Red Blast. Seeing immediate movement over there. Alright. Playing around Stifle. Cool. Shaping up nicely. We also have a Vesuvian Drifter kind of checked with that Shieldred's Edict. Ugh, Shieldred's Edict. It's a mouthful. That's why I just say Sheedict. Brainstorm. I'm not going to Red Blast that. We've got bigger fish to fry. Brainstorm, no fetch. Another Force, cool. Hopefully I don't have to pitch both Narsets. Although I did see Flusterstorm, so I don't know if I want to Brainstorm before a Force. Being able to just pay for Flusterstorm face up is... Alright, no, we wouldn't be able to do that. We'd have to have 3. Defense Grid. I'm required to force this, unfortunately. Don't love it. I guess I'll Brainstorm first. Because unless their hand is Petal, Show and Tell, Monster, I don't think that we'll be required to answer it just right now. I might be able to let it resolve if I find like K-Command or something. Nimble Obstructionist totally plays around Defense Grid, but as we saw, it was only a temporary fix last game. I can put back... I don't think I need to shuffle though. I think I need to keep all this stuff. Well, I can put back actually Obstructionist, or I could use Obstructionist as my pitch, so I can kind of guarantee a Narset, more or less. Okay, so I'll put land on top, Edict, and then, or maybe Edict, and just play to, well, I want to be able to beat a Vesuvian Drifter outside of Red Blast, so yeah, I'll plan on shuffling that and drawing, but if I have to fight super hard right now, okay, I'll go Edict. A little risky. Okay, they're forcing back. I would like to Red Blast this force. It's just good math. Brainstorming, sure. I guess they could daze right now. Kapow. That happened. Good draw. More lands. Let's throw in that Narset. If I had another volcanic island in my mana base, I think I would have gotten that there. We're in there on Narset. Let's get him to Turok. since Lightning Bolt's not very impactful. Another defense grid. I guess I won't fight over that. I've got 3 mana. I could also just Hymn to Tarok and then hope that their top card isn't an A or a B, and they get to keep an A and B. Maybe I'll get Thoughtseize. Sheedict. Not great. It does feel a little aggressive. And then next turn I could just Hymn and hold up Force. So let's shoot for that. Hopefully it doesn't blow up in my face. Okay. Yeah, they must have some way to protect against this, or they can just fire again, or they figure it's now or never. Oh, okay, cool. Might have just been bait, who knows. Brazen Borrower, cool. Do I bounce this to hand and then him? It's kind of a roundabout way of dealing with it, but maybe I can just ignore it. Famous last words. Archon and Ponder. Parcon. Maybe I just flash in Brazen Borrower now and then get to work. Then hold up an Edict. I'll still be really afraid of Atraxa, but at least Grizzlebrand and an Emrakul off Show and Tell, or even Sneak Attack, is handled more or less. Turning off their cantrips via Narset also feels good. Ponder. Can I afford to do that? It's pretty likely I'll find a land off Ponder. Or a bunch of Surgicals. Yeah, I'm gonna Surgical their Show and Tells. That way they need land and a Sneak Attack before they can go off, really. Then Sudden Edict after that. Okay, they do have Sneak Attack, but no monster. Let's see, they do have 2 Vesuvan Drifters. They have 2 Grizzlebrands, 2 Atraxas, 2 Emrakuls, another Archon, so that's 2 Archons total, 2 Days, 3 Force of Wills left, 1 Flusterstorm. Okay. I'm fairly confident Brazen Borrower will get the job done. There's the Drifter. I hope you don't have a Grizzlebrand. Oh, actually, if you have Grizzlebrand on top, that don't really matter. That was a good draw, though. That was one of their better draws for sure. Let's get this one that doesn't have Split Second out of the way while we know it will resolve. Cool. Too bad I have to draw another Surgical next turn, but maybe I just extract Drifters or Archon, something like that. Every turn they don't find mana is nice. Yeah, let's hit Drifters. Then if I can somehow... Okay, another Brainstorm, cool. If I can somehow get the Sneak Attacks gone too, then they're priced into hard casting stuff that's pretty hard to cast. Now I wish I had that Lightning Bolt though, take a turn off the clock. But I'm feeling pretty good. Sneak Attack Atraxa could get them back into this, but it's also possible their Atraxa just finds a bunch of stuff that doesn't really matter. Pyroblast. That also blows up Atraxa. Would have preferred to see Hydroblast, but I only run 1 of those. I understand it would be pretty difficult to find. 3 unknowns in hand. Alright, we got there. Trophy match coming up. Alright. Here we are in the final match here. See them taking a mulligan. And with this Thoughtseize Hymn to Tarok hand, that sounds good to me. Down to 5. They could be blazing fast, and then I'll just wish I had Force of Will. We'll see. If it's Reanimator and they need to set up a turn, Cling to Dust can catch them. Agadeem. Oh, okay. It's oops. Thoughtseize me. They'll probably take Thoughtseize. But Cling to Dust is also kind of a pain for them. Lotus Petal. And a pass. I assume they have a payoff, but, you know, maybe they don't have Pact of Negation, because they probably need more mana. See if we can survive here. I bet they have either Undercity Informer or Balustrade Spy. Well, here we go. Dark Ritual. There's no way their last card is not a Pact of Negation. I just don't think they would do this otherwise. Or maybe they just don't think they have another opportunity to do it because of Hymn to Turok. There's the Oracle. Usually I go after the Dread Return though, but let's take a look here. Pact. Pact. Yeah, I'm only seeing 3, so unfortunately their last card is likely a Pact of Negation, and we'll be going to game 2 in just a second, but might as well make them have it. Dread Return. Oh, do I need to fetch first? Yeah. I'm pretty sure all these decks run 4 Pacts. Quite the hand they had. That is what this deck is made to do, though. I don't think it matters much. With this Narset, I guess I'll get... hit that one. Here we go. What's going to happen? Yeah, I'm not surprised. Okay. Hard to beat that one on the draw. Alrighty. Let's go Surgical, Thoughtseize, Flusterstorm, Spell Pierce, the Kitchen Sink, Opposition Agent. They play Pact of Summoner's Pact and stuff. I guess that's about it. I guess Pyroblast to knock out those pesky Pacts of Negation. Any and all permission we got here. And then we can just trim anything that fights on a fair axis. Hymn to Turok is good on the play, not on the draw. Lightning Bolt is not great, although they might have Xanted Swarm. But let's get those edicts out. Let's see, what else? Fable, no. Kolgon's Command, no. I guess I could just cut the last K command there. Double Thoughtseize hand. Yeah, I'll keep this. And then a Ponder to maybe make something happen. To 5, that makes this Thoughtseize more effective. 4. Okay, now I'm almost certain that they can't Pact and then also go off. That would just be... that's too many resources to ask, I think. Alright, here we go. Let's see what they kept. Pretty strong stuff. But I definitely just take Undercity Informer. Or I could take Turn Timber. Nothing. Maybe they think I'm on Wasteland? Alright. Go ahead and Ponder. Force of Will's nice. Cling to Dust is nice. Snapcaster Mage can probably flashback Thoughtseize next turn and actually start winning the game. So I'll put like this, and then go ahead and hit him with another Thoughtseize. And this time I probably will take Pact of Negation. Okay, they just didn't want to fight through that. Hymn to Turok is actually pretty poor on the draw, and I can bring back another blue card to up my blue card density. For Force of Will, Jace would be the pick here. Hydroblast doesn't have any targets. Yeah, I don't see any of these other cards being super relevant unless they, like that setup turn I was talking about way back when. Forget which round that was, but Meltdown, I think they would not extend into a Meltdown. Clearly a very shrewd player of Oops, so yeah, I think we'll submit this. The only thing you could change is maybe swap Lightning Bolt for him, but I'm pretty sure I saw this person play Santid Swarm before, and sometimes Bolt can get you over the line. You just don't really want to see it more than one in your opening hand or anything. This is not keepable, unfortunately. That's better. 3 Force of Wills. I'll take it. Now, unfortunately, if they start with like Cabal Therapy and I force, that will probably give them a pretty good idea of what's going on. They mold a 4. That's pretty solid for us. The less resources, the better. But this deck can absolutely still just crush with a 4-card hand. So we mustn't let our guard down. They're good with 4. Agadeem. Untapped. Cabal Therapy. Just like I talked about, this will require a Force of Will, unfortunately. Get that out of there. Okay, no movement over there. I like untapping with the Flusterstorm available. If nothing happens again, I might, and I need to force, I might pitch Flusterstorm because Obstructionist does get around Pact of Negation as well. Handy card all around. Wild Cantor, sure. Let's see if I can shuffle and find that Lightning Bolt, huh? That would be pretty good. More blue, please. Flashing back Cabal Therapy, though, that's kind of annoying. I'll probably just Flusterstorm that. Ooh, not wild about that. They might not be able. They might not be able to afford flashing back that Cabal Therapy, though. If they need more mana resources. I wonder if I flash in this. No, I don't think so. I'm not gonna let them bully me with a 1/1 beats. But drawing a non-land is absolutely crucial here, so I guess I'll just thin my deck as much as I can. Alright. I'd love to find like Surgical Extraction or something. More thinning, I say. Oh no. I can't handle it. It's too stressful. Take another one. And passing the turn. It would be funny if, through my incessant fetching, I made myself able to be defeated by these 1/1 beats. Luckily, it seems like the opposite's going over there, and they just have no lands. But I could really use a non-land card. Opponent says, I got this, smiley face. Alright, show us what you got. Oop. Give them the haha nice. Agadim. Not shocked in. You know, it's funny, if I had actually gotten the Stifly Bird in here, I think I would have won by now. Well, this is tough. The beats continue. Lotus Petal. I imagine they can probably go off from here, right? Undercity Informer. Is this my fight? I don't know if this is my fight. They probably have a bunch of Force of Negation. I mean, yeah, no, Pact of Negation. Which they would point at a Force of Will. Unless they just have, you know, tons of other stuff. I could counter this trigger. If they do put a Force of Negation on this, or the Pact of Negation on the stack and can't go off, they will just lose next turn. And this kind of gates them on mana if they fire a Pact here. Okay, they're not interested in fighting over that. Strix, okay. The Wild Cantor's Reign of Terror is now over. Alright. Just gonna have another heart attack next turn. Opponent says, oh no. Yeah, no more beats. Or the Reign of Terror is over. Alright, we held off the attack. Does that mean we always will? Can I just get like every non-land out of my deck? We're getting close. There's like one Tarn and two Myers and then these fetchables left. Narset. Find me something good. Brainstorm. Now I wish I had all those lands, huh? That's funny. Well, I guess I could find Thoughtseize, so maybe I do Brainstorm. Or not. I'll go again. Cling to Dust. I'll hang on to that one. Dark Ritual. Gulp. Undercity Informer. Yeah. Yes. Wait, no. Red. I mean blue. Hopefully that doesn't cost me the match. Interesting. Well, Dread Return is not an instant. So if I can roll into one of those lightning bolts. No. How about Cling to Dust? I have the luxury to hit that Cabal Therapy. That way they can't force my hand in any kind of way. Maybe they're just going to try and go for beats though. Won't let that happen. Here's another Strix. Well, that's got to be one of the last lands, right? I never thought I'd draw all my lands against Oops. No attacks yet. Once we get the third down, then sure, maybe. Entering combat. Here come the attacks. Alright. Block, block. Okay, well there it goes. But I think this Nimble Obstructionist is my hidden ace. My trump card. I guess a hidden ace would imply I'm cheating. That's not what's happening. Oh man. Now this Bloodstained Mire can't do anything. I actually drew the last fetchable. Red Elemental Blast. That'll answer one of their 4 Pact Negations they definitely have in hand. Snapcaster Mage. Still haven't found a Thoughtseize. Hang tight, everyone. We'll bring it home. Don't you worry. If they put another Dimir Mill creature on the stack, I'll pretend like I care a lot and fight over it. And then the Stifly Bird should get the job done. If they Thoughtseize me, of course I have to Flusterstorm. Summoner's Pact. Okay, well, here we go, huh? Spirit Guide. Dark Ritual, yes. Balustrade Spy. Okay, so let's count up the mana. Oh, I mean, I have 9 mana. I know, because I have I have 8 mana, because I have every land in my deck minus 2. So, if I force, and then they Pact, then I Red Blast the Pact. This is the longest I've game against Oopst. Yeah, this is certainly uncommon. But yeah, I think I just pitched Snapcaster Mage. And then they still have to fight through Cling at the end of it all too, so... Is Snapcaster better as a Flusterstorm? No, I just don't have the mana to hardcast Force, and I want to Flusterstorm one of the Pacts. So yeah. Go like this. GG's. Does that mean they're gonna kill me?